A fatal road accident in Singapore's Chinatown has drawn widespread public attention after a 6-year-old girl died following a collision involving a car. The incident occurred on February 6th and prompted an update from the Singapore police force 2 days later, on February 8th, confirming that a 38-year-old woman had been arrested in connection with the case. According to police statements, officers were alerted to an accident involving a car and 2 pedestrians at about 11:50 a.m. along South Bridge Road, near a car park close to the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple. The location is a busy area with high pedestrian activity, frequented by residents, workers, and tourists throughout the day. This context has shaped public concern, as the incident took place in a space where vehicles and pedestrians regularly interact at close range. The Singapore Civil Defense Force conveyed 2 female pedestrians to Singapore General Hospital after the crash. Both were reported to be conscious at the time of conveyance. However, the 6-year-old girl later succumbed to her injuries in hospital. A 31-year-old woman who was also injured remains part of the case under investigation. In its update, the police stated that the driver was arrested for driving without reasonable consideration causing death. At this stage, authorities have not released further details about the driver's identity or the specific circumstances that led to the collision. Investigations are ongoing, and police have indicated that evidence collection and analysis are still in progress. Some early media reports citing the Chinese-language daily Lianhe Zhaobao stated that the victims were believed to be tourists from Indonesia. However, the police have not formally confirmed the nationality of those involved. As such, this detail remains unverified in official communications. Images and short video clips circulated online shortly after the accident, showing the aftermath and bystanders assisting at the scene. While such material reflects the immediate response, authorities have cautioned that online footage does not replace formal investigation findings, which rely on verified evidence and witness accounts. What is clear at this point is limited but significant. A child has died, an arrest has been made, and the case has entered the formal investigative process. Understanding what that process involves and what an arrest does and does not mean at this stage is key to interpreting the next steps as authorities continue their work. The arrest announced by the police is an important procedural step, but it does not mark the conclusion of the case. In Singapore, an arrest allows investigators to formally question a suspect, secure evidence, and assess whether there is sufficient basis for charges to be brought or amended. It does not by itself establish responsibility or guilt. Police stated that the woman was arrested for driving without reasonable consideration, causing death. This description reflects how investigators are initially framing the suspected conduct based on information available at the time. It does not describe the full sequence of events, nor does it confirm specific factors such as speed, distraction, mechanical issues, medical conditions, or road design. Those elements are typically determined only after a detailed reconstruction of the incident. Such cases are assessed under Singapore's Road Traffic Act, together with relevant provisions of the Penal Code, depending on investigative findings. The applicable offense and whether charges proceed under one statute or another depends on evidence gathered during the investigation. This can include vehicle data, physical traces at the scene, CCTV footage, and statements from witnesses and those involved. The location of the accident has also shaped public interest. South Bridge Road, particularly near the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple and adjacent car parks, is an area with heavy pedestrian flow and mixed usage. In settings like this, investigators typically examine not only driver behavior but also visibility conditions, traffic controls, signage, and how vehicles and pedestrians move through shared spaces. Online images and short videos circulated shortly after the crash, but authorities have consistently cautioned that such material provides only partial context. Footage is often recorded after the moment of impact, from limited angles, and without full information about what occurred beforehand. As a result, formal investigations rely primarily on verified evidence rather than publicly shared clips. At this stage, several details remain unconfirmed. The police have not publicly explained how the collision occurred, whether any contributing factors have been identified, or what the next legal steps will be. These uncertainties are typical in serious traffic cases, where investigators must proceed carefully to ensure accuracy and fairness. Understanding the meaning and limits of an arrest helps frame the case appropriately. It clarifies why official updates may appear restrained and why conclusions are not drawn quickly. That restraint also reflects a broader emphasis on due process, especially in incidents involving loss of life. The next layer of context lies in how such cases are examined against the backdrop of pedestrian safety in dense urban districts like Chinatown. The location of the accident has intensified public concern because it occurred in one of Singapore's most heavily used pedestrian districts. Chinatown is a dense, mixed-use area where cultural sites, residential blocks, eateries, and car parks coexist within a compact street network. Throughout the day, pedestrians and vehicles operate in close proximity, leaving little margin for error. Children are particularly vulnerable in traffic environments. Their smaller height reduces visibility to drivers, and their ability to judge speed, distance, and danger is still developing. In busy urban settings, this vulnerability is heightened, especially where vehicles are maneuvering near car parks, drop-off points, or narrow road sections. For this reason, Singapore's road safety policies consistently place emphasis on protecting vulnerable road users, including children and the elderly. When a fatal accident occurs in such an environment, investigations typically extend beyond the actions of individuals. Authorities examine whether road design, signage, sightlines, traffic calming measures, and pedestrian routing played a role. This does not presume fault in infrastructure, but recognizes that safety outcomes often result from the interaction between human behavior and the built environment. Singapore has introduced various measures over the years to reduce pedestrian risk in high-footfall areas. These include lower speed limits in selected zones, additional warning signs, improved crossings, and targeted enforcement. In districts with strong tourism activity, managing the flow of both vehicles and pedestrians remains an ongoing challenge, particularly during peak periods. The Chinatown case has prompted renewed attention to these issues, not because it is representative of daily conditions, but because it highlights what can happen when routine movements intersect in a constrained space. While Singapore's overall road fatality rate remains low by international standards, each serious incident carries weight beyond statistics, shaping public expectations around safety and accountability. Public reaction to the incident has largely focused on sympathy for the victims and concern about safety, rather than speculation about blame. That response mirrors the approach taken by authorities, which prioritizes fact-finding and procedural fairness over immediate conclusions. It also reflects an understanding that meaningful improvements in safety usually emerge from careful analysis rather than reactive measures. As investigations continue, findings from this case may inform future reviews of safety arrangements in similar districts. Whether changes follow immediately or incrementally, such cases often contribute to broader discussions about how pedestrian-heavy areas are managed in a city with limited space and constant movement. These considerations form the backdrop against which the legal process unfolds. While the investigation seeks to establish what happened in this specific case, its implications may extend to how pedestrian safety is approached more generally in dense urban environments. As of the latest update, the case remains under active investigation. The arrest of the 38-year-old woman enables police to continue formal inquiries, but it does not determine the final outcome. In Singapore, cases involving a fatality are examined carefully, often over an extended period, to ensure that conclusions are based on a complete and reliable evidential record. Investigators typically work in coordination with the Attorney General's chambers to assess whether charges should be formally brought, and if so, under which provisions of the law. Depending on findings, the initial offense cited at arrest may remain unchanged, be amended, or be replaced by a different charge. It is also possible, though less common, for no prosecution to follow if evidence does not meet the required legal threshold. These determinations are made through established judicial processes rather than public commentary. An arrest should therefore be understood as part of due process, not a judgment of guilt. Responsibility can only be established in court, where evidence is examined and tested. This distinction is particularly important in high-profile cases, where public emotion and online discussion can move faster than verified facts. Beyond the legal process, the incident has reinforced attention on pedestrian safety in shared urban spaces. In areas like Chinatown, where cultural activity, commerce, and traffic intersect, authorities continuously balance accessibility with risk management. Reviews following serious accidents may consider factors such as traffic flow, enforcement focus, and environmental design, even if no immediate changes are announced. For residents, the case has served as a sobering reminder of how quickly tragedy can occur in familiar settings. Singapore's approach to such incidents has long emphasized methodical investigation, accountability through law, and incremental improvements rather than abrupt policy shifts. This framework aims to uphold fairness while learning from each serious case. As further updates emerge from police or the courts, additional clarity may be provided on how the case proceeds. Until then, confirmed facts remain limited, and restraint in interpretation remains essential. What is already clear is the loss of a young life and the seriousness with which authorities are treating the matter. In the broader context, the Chinatown accident underscores the continuing challenge of ensuring safety in a dense, pedestrian-oriented city. While no single case defines policy, each investigation contributes to a deeper understanding of how risk can be reduced, and why careful, evidence-based responses remain central to public trust in Singapore's institutions.